Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. I've got a few requests to share the camera settings that I use to film my videos, so this is what this is all about. Thank you Lisa from Lisa Officially Live. That's my girl. We actually met before. And Live Naturally Love. Why do I feel like I'm messing up your YouTube name, girl? Sorry. We're supposed to be meeting soon. Thank you so much for requesting this. I think there were a few other requests, so without me talking too much, let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your camera is on manual. So we're going to look for this dial that you see here. I think it's placed in a different spot on different cameras, but this is where it is on my Canon 70D. You're going to turn this dial until you reach M, which is for manual. Even though I'll be using a Canon 70D to show you guys the settings, these settings will apply to any other Canon DSLR that you may have. I used to have a Canon T3i before I bought my 70D. The only thing is that I think the dials and the different menu things look different on different Canon cameras, but at the end of the day, we are using the same settings regardless. You might just need to kind of read through the menus on your camera and kind of look around on the dials that you have. You will basically be able to do the same thing that I will be sharing here on any other Canon DSLR that you may have. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing that I like to change is my picture style or picture profile. I usually use two different picture styles depending on what I'm in the mood for. So I use the neutral setting and I use a custom setting that I create myself. The difference between the two is that the neutral setting, it usually gives you a flat image and there's no color correction and no color grade in the camera. So I have to do color correction in post-production on my editing software. For the custom setting that I use, I do my color correction in the camera. So it's all a matter of preference. I absolutely love the neutral setting. It's definitely one of my favorites. Okay, so you're gonna go into your menu, you're gonna press menu and look for picture style, and in picture style you're gonna pick neutral. For the neutral settings, I bring the sharpness up. You always want your images as sharp as possible. Then I bring the contrast down, the saturation down. I also bring the color tone down because I like a blue undertone for the most part. And then in the custom setting, you see how there's landscape, there's portrait, neutral. Below that you can create a custom setting, user def 1, I think. They have different custom ones that you can create. So let's just take one of them. And in here, I will bring my contrast up, bring my sharpness up again, and then I bring the saturation up at 1, and then I keep the color tone 1 under, again, because I like a blue undertone. Now, the second setting that we will be talking about is the video recording size. So we're going back into the menu, looking for video recording size, and I usually pick the 1920 by 24 for regular videos and 1920 by 60 for slow motion videos. Now you're gonna see IPB or I think the only big difference between these two things is that one of them takes more space on your memory card. IPB takes the least amount of space, I think, and that's usually why I pick IPB. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about is the shutter speed. See, when choosing the video recording size, we picked 1980 by 24, right? For the shutter speed, you want to double that 24 number to get your perfect shutter speed. I think it's called the 180 rule, but it really doesn't matter because we don't care. We just want good looking videos, okay? So 24 times 2 is going to be 48. So if you're filming at 1980 by 24, you want your shutter speed to be 48. But there's no 48 on Canon cameras, and the next thing after 48 is a 50. So I bring my shutter speed up to 50. Now when I'm shooting 1980 by 60. Again, we double the shutter speed at 120, okay? The next setting that I like to change is the white balance. White balance is very important, guys. And basically what you want to do is set your white balance according to the lighting situation that you are using. When I use natural light and it's sunny outside and it's beautiful outside, I usually put my white balance on daylight. If I'm outside and it's cloudy outside, I would put my white balance on cloudy. So when I'm using artificial lights like my ring light, I usually use custom white balance. I'll have a tutorial for you guys showing you how to do custom white balance very soon. But in the meantime, I'll link a video that you can check out to learn how to do custom white balance. But if you don't know how to do custom white balance, you can also use the tungsten or fluorescent settings when you're using artificial light. Alright, then the other settings that we will be changing, these settings will make sure that your video is not overexposed. So we'll be talking about aperture and ISO. Aperture in regular terms is in opening in something, right? In terms of photography and in video, the aperture is the opening in your lens. And you control that with something called the f-stop. What is the f-stop? The f-stop is basically that number that you usually see on your lens. You know how you buy a lens, it says 85mm 1.2, 24mm 2.8. That 2.8 or the 1.2, that's the f-stop. So that is what you use to control the aperture on your lens. The ISO on the other end is light sensitivity. People usually recommend that you shoot at 100 and no more than 800 because the higher you go with the ISO, the more grainy your video looks or the more noise that your video has. In a great lighting situation where let's say you're outdoors and you're using daylight, you can go all the way down to 100 and that is the cleanest, the smoothest video that you will get. Sometimes when you bring your ISO down to 100, your camera just goes completely black, right? So that's where you go into your aperture and open it to get some more light into the camera. So the higher the f-stop, which controls the aperture, the less light goes into your camera. The smaller the aperture, the smaller the f-stop is, the wider the aperture opens and brings more light. Like, I feel like I just confused my damn self trying to explain this to you guys. But if you bring your ISO down to 100 and your camera goes completely black, you want to move your f-stop closer to that 1.2 so you can bring light back into the camera. Now, that type of light will not make your video grainy or anything like that because it is clean light. I will link a video in the description bar that thoroughly explains aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. I think you guys should check that out so you can kind of have a better understanding and a better idea of how you want to play around with the aperture and ISO to make your video look as great as possible. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Also follow me on Instagram at MsNerdychica. Snapchat, meh. I just started to use Instagram stories and I'm like, bye-bye Snapchat. Have a great day. It was nice to meet you. See ya later. Okay? But you guys can still follow me. Who knows? Once in a while, I'll probably pop in there and do something. But right now, I'm living on Instagram. So I'll see you in my next one. Bye.